Welcome back to my channel today. We explore the value of specific coins. The most valuable Lincoln Wheat penny coins, value in market, and what you need to know to sell them successfully at auction. So let's get started. First up, the 1957 Abraham Lincoln Wheat penny with the D mint mark is one of the last classic wheat cents ever made. And even though it's a common coin, it still holds a special place in American coin history. This coin was struck at the Denver Mint, as shown by the small D mark beneath the date on the front side. For collectors, coins from this final decade of the Wheat Penny series have a nostalgic charm, representing the end of an era before the design changed to the Lincoln Memorial in 1959. The Wheat Penny design, created by sculptor Victor David Brenner, had been in circulation since 1909. It features the portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the front and two simple wheat stalks framing the words 1 cent on the back. Even after almost half a century of production, this design remained a favorite among the American public. The 1957 D issue continued that legacy, a coin that many older Americans still remember using in everyday purchases. The Denver Mint struck an enormous number of these coins, more than 1 billion in total that year, which makes the 1957 D penny one of the more common wheat cents today. Because of that high mintage, it's easy to find, but that doesn't mean it has no value. For coin collectors, even common dates like this are essential pieces of history. Many people start their coin collecting journeys with simple wheat pennies, like the 1957 D, found in pocket change, coin jars, or inherited collections. Now let's talk about your coin's condition. You mentioned it is in damaged condition with some scratches, which means it shows heavy signs of circulation and possibly surface marks or corrosion. In grading terms, a damaged coin is below the standard good or fine grade, since damage lowers collector appeal. But it still has some value, especially as an authentic historical piece. For a 1957 D Lincoln Wheat penny in this kind of condition, the value in today's market is generally around 2 to 5 cents, depending on the extent of the wear and damage. In better condition, such as fine or extremely fine, the coin might sell for 10 to 20 cents. If the coin is in uncirculated condition, showing no wear and keeping its original red copper luster, collectors are often willing to pay $1 to $5, and certified mint state examples graded MS-65 or higher can reach $10 to $20 or even more for those with strong color and perfect surfaces. The highest quality examples in top mint state red condition have sold for over $100 at auction. But those are exceptional pieces that have been carefully preserved since the day they were minted. It's also worth remembering that the 1957 D Wheat penny was produced during a time of economic growth in post-war America. It was a coin used in diners, gas stations, and candy shops, a symbol of a simpler time. Millions of these pennies passed through the hands of ordinary Americans, making them small but meaningful pieces of shared history. Even a damaged one connects us to that story. For collectors today, the 1957 D penny isn't rare, but it's popular because it's part of the final years of the Wheat series. When people complete their Lincoln cent collections, they always include the 1957 D as one of the closing dates before the design change. It's a coin that marks the transition between two eras. The Wheat back design and the new Lincoln Memorial reverse that began in 1959. If you have a 1957 D penny with scratches or damage, you might not be sitting on a fortune, but you do have a real collectible coin that represents over 6 decades of history. Many hobbyists keep coins like this in albums or use them for teaching young collectors about mint marks, history, and coin preservation. It's a perfect example of how even a small, low-value coin can tell a big story. So next time you hold your 1957 D Wheat penny, take a moment to appreciate the journey it's been through. From the Denver Mint presses in the 1950s to your hands today. It may have scratches, it may be worn, but it still carries the image of one of America's greatest presidents and a legacy that continues to inspire coin enthusiasts around the world. Next up, the 1941 Abraham Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark is one of the most recognizable coins from the early 1940s. Even though it's not rare, it holds a special place in American coin history. It's a coin that's been handled by millions of people through decades of everyday life. Yet today, it's cherished by collectors as one of the classic Lincoln wheat cents that connects directly to America's wartime era. This coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, and that's why it doesn't have any mint mark below the date. The Philadelphia Mint produced an enormous number of these coins in 1941, more than 887 million in total, making it one of the most common wheat pennies of that decade. Still, even though it's common, every 1941 penny has a story to tell, especially those that have survived in good condition for over 80 years. Now let's talk about your coin's condition. You mentioned it's in good condition with some scratches, which means it shows moderate wear, but still has visible details like Lincoln's face, the date, and the wheat stalks on the back. In coin grading, good is one of the lower circulated grades, but it still represents a solid collectible piece. The scratches might reduce its appeal slightly to collectors, but the coin's historical value remains. In today's coin market, a 1941 Lincoln wheat penny from Philadelphia in good condition typically sells for around 5 to 15 cents. If the coin is in better condition, such as very fine or extremely fine, the value can rise to 25 to 50 cents. In uncirculated mint state condition, the value jumps even higher, often between $2 and $5 for bright red examples. And certified high-grade specimens can sell for $15, $20, or even more, depending on their color and sharpness. The most perfect, top-graded examples have even reached over $100 at major auctions. The 1941 penny also marks an important time in U.S. history. It was struck just before America entered World War II, a time of global uncertainty. Many of these coins circulated throughout the war years, used by Americans buying food, stamps, and supplies. They were part of the nation's daily life during one of its most defining decades. That connection to the wartime era makes even a worn example like yours meaningful to collectors and history enthusiasts alike. It's also worth noting that in 1941, the U.S. Mint improved its production quality. The coins from that year often have sharper details and cleaner strikes than earlier dates. Collectors appreciate that, especially when looking for well-defined examples of the wheat stalks and Lincoln's features. Even though the 1941 Philadelphia penny is not considered rare, it's still a beloved collectible because it represents a turning point both in American history and in the evolution of the Lincoln cent series. For many beginner collectors, finding a 1941 penny is one of the first exciting discoveries that leads them deeper into the hobby. If your coin has scratches and wear, don't worry, that's part of its journey. Many collectors like to keep these circulated examples as part of a complete set, showing how the design has aged naturally over time. Coins like this also remind us that value isn't always about money. Sometimes it's about the story, the age, and the connection to history. If you ever come across a 1941 wheat penny in uncirculated condition, shiny, red, and with no marks, it's definitely worth setting aside or even having graded professionally. But even your circulated coin, in good condition, still carries a small collector's premium and a big dose of nostalgia for the pre-war era. So the next time you see that brown copper penny with Abraham Lincoln's profile and no mint mark under the date, remember it's more than just a coin. It's a small piece of America's past, struck at a time when the world was changing rapidly, and it has managed to survive all the way to today. Next up, the 1935 Abraham Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark is a beautiful piece of American history that has now passed through nearly 9 decades of time. Even though it's not a rare coin, it remains one of the classic early 20th century Lincoln cents that many collectors admire. Struck during the Great Depression era, the 1935 penny carries not just monetary value, but also a story of resilience and everyday American life. This coin was minted at the Philadelphia Mint, which is why there is no mint mark under the date. The Philadelphia Mint produced a large number of these coins, more than 245 million in total. That's a big number, and it means the 1935 wheat penny was widely used in circulation all across the country. Still, finding one today in very fine condition, like the one you have, is becoming less common. Many of these coins were heavily worn down from decades of use, so a well-preserved example with clear details is always appreciated by collectors. The obverse side of the coin features the familiar bust of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner, a design that was first introduced in 1909 to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. His portrait has become one of the most recognized designs in American coinage. The reverse side displays two elegant wheat ears surrounding the words 1 cent, a simple but powerful design that symbolized America's strength, agriculture, and unity. Your 1935 Lincoln wheat penny is described as being in very fine condition with some scratches. In coin grading terms, very fine means that most of the design is still sharp, though there's moderate wear on the high points. You can still clearly see the lines in Lincoln's hair, his jawline, and the wheat stalks on the reverse. A few light scratches are common for coins of this age and usually don't significantly affect their basic collector value unless they're very deep or distracting. Now let's look at the current market value of the 1935 Lincoln penny. In today's collector market, a coin like yours, without a mint mark, from the Philadelphia Mint, in very fine condition, generally sells for about 25 to 50 cents. If the coin is in extremely fine or about uncirculated condition, prices can climb to $1 or even $2. And if the coin is in uncirculated, mint state condition, showing full red color and no signs of wear, the value can rise sharply, anywhere from $5 to $20, depending on its color and strike quality. Certified high-grade red examples graded MS-66 or MS-67 by major grading services can sell for $100 to $200 or more at auction. Of course, for most circulated examples like yours with some scratches, the real charm isn't in the price, it's in the history. The 1935 penny was minted during the later years of the Great Depression, a time when every penny truly mattered. People used coins like this to buy bread, stamps, or a few candies. It represents a period when the American economy was slowly recovering and every cent carried real value too. Families across the country, collectors, often love coins from the 1930s because they tell stories of perseverance and everyday struggle. The 1935 wheat penny fits right into that history. It's not rare, but it's deeply symbolic of a time when simple things like a penny had great importance. And even though it's over 80 years old, millions of these coins still survive in collections, passed down through generations. If you ever find a 1935 penny with a mint mark D for Denver or an S for San Francisco, those versions can sometimes be slightly scarcer. But in general, all 1935 issues remain affordable for collectors. That makes them a perfect choice for beginners who want to build a complete Lincoln cent collection without spending a fortune. Even with its scratches, your coin in very fine condition has survived decades of handling and circulation, yet it still keeps its beautiful detail and historical charm. It's a great example of how even common-date coins can carry deep meaning. Whether you keep it as part of your personal collection or use it to teach someone about old U.S. coins, it remains a valuable piece of American history. So when you look at your 1935 wheat penny, remember that it's more than just a small copper coin. It's a link to the past, a coin that traveled through the hands of ordinary Americans during one of the most challenging eras in history. Today, it continues to remind us how something as simple as a penny can hold generations of stories within its worn surface. Next up, the 1952 Abraham Lincoln wheat penny with the S mint mark is a small but meaningful piece of American history. Even though it's not among the rarest Lincoln cents, it remains a favorite among collectors because it comes from the final years of the famous wheat penny series. Every coin from this era tells its own story, and this 1952 S penny is no exception. The S mint mark below the date on the front of the coin stands for the San Francisco Mint, where this coin was struck. In 1952, the San Francisco Mint produced around 137 million wheat pennies, far fewer than the Denver or Philadelphia mints that same year. That slightly lower mintage makes the 1952 S issue a bit scarcer, and it's often considered one of the more interesting coins from the 1950s for collectors trying to complete a full set of Lincoln wheat cents. The obverse of the coin shows the familiar image of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner back in 1909. It was the first U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure rather than a symbolic design, and it quickly became one of the most beloved coin designs in American history. The reverse of the coin features two wheat stalks surrounding the words 1 cent, a design that represents hard work, unity, and the nation's agricultural roots. Now, let's talk about the condition of your coin. You mentioned that it's in dirty condition with some scratches. That's very common for coins that have circulated for decades. Dirt, discoloration, and small surface marks happen naturally over time as a coin passes through countless hands. While that affects the appearance and collector value slightly, it doesn't take away from the historical charm or the story behind it. In the world of coin collecting, condition plays a big role in determining value. A dirty or circulated 1952 S wheat penny generally falls into the lower end of the value scale, especially if the details are still visible, but there are scratches or corrosion. In today's coin market, such a coin usually sells for about 5 to 10 cents. That's a modest value, but it's still more than its face value and shows that collectors continue to appreciate these coins. If the same 1952 S penny were in better condition, say, fine or extremely fine, it might sell for 20 to 50 cents. And in uncirculated condition, with full red color and no wear, the value increases significantly, ranging from $1 to $5. Certified high-grade red examples in mint state, MS65 or higher, can bring $20 to $50 or more at auctions, especially if they show strong luster and no marks. The highest graded examples have even reached over $100, though those are rare. Still, even in dirty or worn condition, your 1952 S penny is worth keeping. It's part of American coinage history and one of the last wheat pennies produced before the design changed to the Lincoln Memorial Reverse in 1959. The fee 1950s coins represent the closing chapter of the wheat penny era. A design that had served the nation for half a century. When you hold your 1952 S penny, you're holding a piece of the early 1950s, a time when the United States was growing rapidly after World War II. These coins circulated during the Korean War years, through the post-war boom, and through an era when a penny still had real purchasing power. Many people who grew up in that time remember using wheat pennies every day, long before they became collectibles. Collectors today often look for 1952 S pennies to complete their sets, especially since San Francisco Mint coins tend to have nice strikes and attractive color. Even if a coin is dirty, it can often be gently cleaned and preserved properly. Though collectors usually prefer to leave old coins in their original natural state rather than polishing them, which can actually reduce value, the important thing is that your coin, even with its scratches and dirt, has survived for more than 70 years and still carries the image of one of America's greatest presidents. It's a small link to the past, a reminder of how everyday objects can become pieces of history over time. So if you have a 1952 S wheat penny like this one, Don't overlook it just because it looks old or worn. It might not be rare or expensive, but it's a genuine collectible that represents an important part of American coin heritage. Whether it's worth a few cents or a few dollars, it's still a treasured artifact that connects the present with the past. Next up, the 1937 Abraham Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark is another classic example of early 20th century American coinage, a small copper coin that carries nearly 90 years of history. Though it's not considered rare, it's one of the well-loved coins among collectors because of its age, design, and connection to an important era in American life. Your coin from 1937, struck at the Philadelphia Mint, represents a time when the United States was slowly coming out of the Great Depression and preparing for a new decade of change. The lack of a mint mark beneath the date means your coin was made at the Philadelphia Mint, which produced more than 309 million wheat pennies that year, one of the higher mintages of the 1930s. Because so many were made, the 1937 penny is not hard to find, but condition makes a huge difference in its value. The fact that your coin is in extra fine condition means it has survived very well over time, and that's where its true appeal lies. The obverse side of the coin features the timeless portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. This design was introduced in 1909, and by 1937 it had already become one of the most iconic coin designs in U.S. history. The mighty reverse shows two wheat stalks framing the denomination. 1 cent, symbolizing prosperity and hard work, values that resonated deeply during the Depression years. Even after decades of circulation, this design still feels powerful and meaningful. In extra fine condition, your 1937 Lincoln wheat penny would show only light wear on the high points of Lincoln's cheek and jawline, with most of the fine details in his hair and the wheat ears still visible. The coin might have a few small scratches or marks from handling, which is normal for its age, but overall, the detail remains sharp and attractive. That level of preservation makes it a desirable piece for collectors who like high-quality circulated coins. In today's collector market, the value of a 1937 Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark in extra fine condition generally ranges between 50 cents and $1. If the coin has excellent color and strong eye appeal, it might reach up to $2. In higher grades, such as about uncirculated or uncirculated, prices can rise significantly, anywhere from $5 to $15 for nice examples with strong red-brown or full red color. Certified mint state coins graded MS-65 or higher can fetch $40 to $100, and top-graded bright red examples have sold for over $200 at major auctions. Of course, for a circulated coin with some light scratches, like yours, the value stays modest, but it still represents a very collectible and historically rich piece. Many collectors value these 1930s Lincoln cents not for their rarity, but for their age, their design, and the story they tell. This was a coin that circulated in a time when a single penny could actually buy something meaningful. Perhaps a stick of gum, a postage stamp, or a few pieces of candy. The 1937 penny also carries emotional value because of the time period it represents. America was finally beginning to recover from the economic hardships of the Great Depression, and coins like this were part of everyday life for families across the country. Each one passed through countless hands, helping to build the economy and connecting ordinary people to the spirit of hope and perseverance that defined that era. Even though the 1937 wheat penny isn't rare, it remains a must-have for anyone collecting Lincoln cents. It fits perfectly into mid-series collections and is often found in coin albums that span from the early 1909 VDB issue to the final 1958 wheatback. For new collectors, the 1937 penny is a great way to own a genuine pre-World War II coin without spending a lot of money, while experienced collectors appreciate it as a well-made coin that has stood the test of time. If you happen to find a 1937 penny in mint state red condition, It's worth holding on to, or even having graded by a professional service like PCGS or NGC. The jump in value between circulated and uncirculated coins is dramatic, and well-preserved examples continue to attract strong interest at auctions. But even with a few scratches and light wear, your 1937 Lincoln wheat penny is a small piece of history, a survivor of the 1930s that still carries the image of one of America's greatest presidents. It may not be worth a fortune, but it's a coin with heart, character, and a connection to the past that money can't replace. So when you look at your 1937 penny, remember that it's more than just copper. It's a witness to history, a piece that has lived through nearly a century of change. From the Great Depression to the modern day, it has survived, telling the story of the people who once used it in their daily lives. Thank you for watching and learning about another classic Lincoln wheat penny. If you enjoy discovering the stories and values behind historic U.S. coins, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more videos. And keep checking your old pennies. You never know when a little coin like the 1937 wheat penny could turn out to be a small treasure with a big story.